Hello, 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 everybody. Welcome to this new fifth live session of 2024. And a very warm welcome to everybody here. And this is a very good thing. We already have two questions. Thank you so much. Yes, this time we have two questions to start with. So let's get started then. The first is from Guy Jin, and he or she says, "Why is our tongue pink? Why is it not black or white or any other color? Why only pink?" Brilliant question. Very, very good question, Guy Jin. So, uh, yeah, basically what happens is, uh, yes, we can say, yeah, pink color, but not only the tongue, but almost every internal organs. If you see with a torch under your nose, inside of your nose, or under your eyes, or all of the internal organs, you'll see that the color is pink, isn't it? I hope my voice is getting through, uh, but there's nobody here, zero viewers, I guess. So I'm just hoping that I am able to I'm able to speak, and you're able to listen to what I'm saying. Anyways, so yes, so the reason why our tongue is pink, or broadly speaking, the reason why all of our internal organs are pink, even if you, let's say, if you see the internal organs, most of them, except for liver, I think liver is brownish kind of color, brownish red. But except for that, almost all the organs, the gallbladder is greenish in color. Yeah, but except for that, most of the organs in your body are pink in appearance. And the reason is, especially why our tongue is so pink, is because of the color of blood. So it's as simple as that. Um, what happens is, in your tongue there's a lot of blood flowing in, so that's why tongue is the easiest to heal. Sometimes while biting, eating food, you bite into your tongue, you feel a lot of pain, sometimes even a small piece of the tongue comes out, but then within a short period of time it gets healed automatically. Why? Because there's a lot of blood vessels in your tongue. There's a lot of blood in your tongue. So that blood keeps on supplying the nutrients that you need for healing, and hence the tongue is the fastest to heal among all the other organs, especially those that are not on the skin. Yes, so the short answer is the tongue is pink because all the organs, internal organs, almost all the internal organs are pink because of blood. So when blood passes through tissue, it gives the pink appearance. Basically, it's red, but then the reflection of light through the tissue and then back to our eyes gives the image that the color of the organ is pink. So yes, that's the answer to that. I hope I could answer your query there. The second question is from Gigi, and he or she says, last time also, Gigi, I think maybe you're from Australia, I'm not sure, but you asked me a lot of good questions, and welcome back, Gigi. So your question is, why are our nerves and vessels cylinder shape? Cylinder shape. Why not triangle or rhombus or something? Okay, this is a very good question, actually. Uh, and it's good because basically that's where your engineering skills come to help. So, yes, probably you're asking why are our blood vessels, yeah, cylindrical in shape. Yes. So almost all the things, all the pipes inside our body, all the vessels inside our body, be it the blood vessels or the other, other vessels that, what do you call that? There's another thing similar to blood, but it goes into some specific special areas. I forgot the name of that, but anyways, so let's talk about blood. Yes, our nerves are not necessarily cylindrical shape, but yes, in the middle they are cylindrical shape, and then on the both ends they are more of the root, branching shape kind of things. But yes, in the middle where you have the myelin, the sheath is cylindrical in shape. Similarly, all our blood vessels, all the things that bring bad blood or deoxygenated blood to the heart and then pump it out to the other organs, all of these vessels are cylindrical in shape. And the reason is very, very simple. But first, let's look at why it's not triangular. That's a good question. Why? Because in civil engineering and engineering, normally structural engineering, they teach us that an N shape or a triangle shape is a very strong shape, and that's why when you look at bridges and all these civil works, you'll often find these arches, and they have some kind of triangle shape. Even a bicycle has a small triangle in the middle because it adds to the strength of the shape, the structure. So a triangle is a very strong shape. And so I can understand your question as to why our blood vessels are not triangular in shape, because yes, they can be. There's no doubt that they can be, but they are not. And the reason, I think, I may be wrong, but the reason I think why our blood vessels are cylindrical is because a triangle is very good at resisting uh, the forces from outside. So if you're trying to push, if you're trying to press something, then a triangle is a very good shape. But in case of blood vessels, there's blood inside, and that blood actually exerts pressure outside. That's why you have blood pressure, isn't it? So blood pressure, the blood exerts pressure on the tube, on the structure, on the vessel through which it's passing, and so the structure should be not only good uh, in resisting stress or resisting pressure from outside, but more importantly, it should be very good. It should be better at resisting pressure from inside to outside, the blood's pressure in the vessel. And it turns out that a cylinder is the best shape to resist the pressure, inward pressure, inside pressure going outside. So when a liquid inside a container exerts pressure on the walls of the container, in that situation, a spherical shape is the best shape because then it distributes the pressure equally. But for obvious reasons, we cannot have spherical balls all throughout because that will that maybe nature doesn't like that because it's not very effective, isn't it? So, and not only our blood vessels, but also the tankers, the containers that carry liquids such as water tanker or a petroleum tanker, or big liquids that are contained in a container. Those big containers are all cylindrical shape. Why? Because a cylindrical shape or a near cylindrical shape is the best shape which can resist the pressure from the liquid inside when the things moves, for example, when the vehicle move or when the body moves, or when the blood moves inside of our body, it exerts pressure on the wall, and in that case a cylindrical shape is the best compromise between a sphere and a triangle. So a cylindrical shape is the best shape because in short it can resist, or it can manage, it can distribute the pressure from the liquid inside of it effectively because it can distribute it equally along its cylindrical walls, its round walls. So that's the answer to that. Very good. Wow, this is perhaps one of the best sessions so far because from the get-go, I'm getting questions after questions after questions. The next one is from KS, and he's asking, is there life exist on other planets? Oh, that's a very good question. That's okay. Let's try to answer that. But there's another question: is there a formation change the water from becoming ice? Okay, so let's go one by one. Thank you for asking this brilliant questions, KS. So first, is there life exist on other planets? Does perhaps you want to ask, does life exist on other planets? And broadly speaking, yes, this question actually comes in top 10 uh, across all these science channels and all these curiosity based channels, the media. This question is asked by a very wide spectrum of audience. So I think this is a good chance for me to attempt an answer to that. Yes. So does life exist on other planets? I don't know. Actually, nobody knows because we haven't detected life directly. We cannot detect life directly beyond Mars, I think. But first, let's look at our past. It's very strongly believed that on the planet Venus, which is near to the sun, Mars is on the other side. So this is Earth, and Venus is towards the sun, the next planet to Earth, and Mars is farther from sun, and is the next. Both are neighbors of Earth, but on different sides. Now, on Venus, there are uh, from the light that's coming from Venus, we can we can say that there may be some kind of organic life existing right now in the clouds of the planet Venus right now. How do we know that? Because of the presence of a gas called phosphine. So what's phosphine? Phosphine, you can say, is a gas that's only generated by living cells, by life, by organic life, by carbon-based life, such as us here on planet. Almost all of the life forms on planet Earth are carbon-based. So phosphine gas can only be secreted out, can only be produced by life such as ours. And in the clouds of the planet Venus, the light that's coming out of the planet Venus, we did some absorption spectroscopy, I think. But in simple language, we we deciphered the barcode of the light that's coming from Venus, and we can say with enough confidence that there may be presence of some kind of life form in the clouds of the planet Venus, not on the surface, not on the terrestrial area of planet Venus, because that's very very hot. It has greenhouse effects gone crazy on planet Venus. But in the clouds, which are very very dense, we have some suspect. Some scientists suspect that we might have some life. Unfortunately, COVID-19 affected the research, and so people are restarting the research in that area. But COVID-19 affected the research; it brought back the research by at least 2 years. So hopefully, we'll get some good answers or definitive answers from that research. But that's near Earth, yeah, because we are all in the same area, more or less, at more or less the similar distance from Sun. So yes, but the way Sun affects different planets in the solar system is very different. Beyond Mars, the sunlight does not reach like it reaches us here on Earth. It's just a very small light coming to the next planet to Mars. which one is that? Jupiter. Jupiter doesn't receive as much sunlight as we or Mars receives. So yes, there is a very high chance that life must exist on other planets, in other solar systems, in other star systems. But first, I don't know if you know this or not, but let's assume that we don't know. So uh, just like our sun has a solar system, the 8 or 9 planets going around sun in our solar system, similarly, on every star that you see in the night, or almost every star, a proper star that you see in the night sky, it has its own planets going around it. And so, just because of the pure probability distribution, it's very, very, very probable that there must be another planet somewhere in our galaxy or some other galaxy or in our, in space. There has to be a planet that's situated at the same distance from its star uh, as we are situated away from sun. And hence, it's very probable that this planet gets the sunlight or starlight in the same amount and in the same intensity that we get. And hence, it's also very, very probable that some kind of life form might exist, maybe not necessarily carbon based. We are carbon based. So when you burn an animal or a bird, you get ash. So that's carbon. So we are, believe it or not, we are mostly made of carbon atoms. But if you look at the periodic table, the next planet, the next element below uh, carbon is silicon. So maybe this different, pressure, different temperature on different planet, different kind of chemistry happening on a different planet might give rise to a life form that's silicon based, because silicon also has the same valency. It also has only 4 electrons, 4 free electrons, and plus it's a semiconductor, so it has a very specific range in which it can conduct electricity. And so we are using that electric property of silicon to make our computers. But maybe biology or biochemistry on a different planet, on a different in a different galaxy, might use the chemical property or the nuclear properties, the electron distribution of silicon to form a life form, a life platform based on silicon. So it's very possible. It's very, very possible that life must exist actually on different planets. But so far, as far as we have seen, we humans have seen and observed the light, the other things that we can observe. There is no full proof or 100% proof of life. We can say there is life existing on Venus or Mars or Saturn or Jupiter or any of these other planets in our solar system. But it's also possible that life as we define is not life as it's defined by nature of some other planet within our solar system or in a neighboring solar system, for example. So my suspicion and my belief is that there has to be life, not in the form necessarily, not in the form that we have here on Earth, not necessarily uh, in the same temperature and pressure environment as we have here on Earth, but there has to be life because in space there's the distribution of the basic elements, hydrogen, helium, lithium, and carbon, is equally distributed. So it's very, very possible that just like we got the stardust, which formed the elements which helped life thrive on planet Earth, it's also possible that it can also happen on other planets, on other solar systems, in other solar system, in other galaxies, but I think it's very, very possible. The next one is there a formation change in the water after becoming ice? Is there a formation change? Yes. So what happens is physical state changes. So when we say water changes to ice, only the physical state has changed. The chemical properties have not changed. Water remains H2O in liquid water, and it remains H2O in solid water or ice. What changes is how densely packed these water molecules are. So in water, in liquid water, the water molecules are packed, but not as densely. So they still have some space between them. In ice, the temperature decreases, and hence the atoms, they lose energy. The molecules, sorry, they lose energy. And so as a result, they get tightly packed because there's no space left in between these different molecules of water. And so it's a tighter formation in that sense. But the chemical properties of water in ice and water in liquid water remain exactly the same. So there's no chemical change uh, there's no change in the chemical properties of water in the ice and water in liquid water. The next question is from KM, and they're asking, where does our mind come from? Does the bacteria have the mind? That's a very, very good question. Yes, usually in my lectures, I sometimes ask this kind of question. So it's a very, very good question. It's in my area of expertise. So where does our mind come from? So first, there are two things. One is brain. Brain is the physical entity that we have. I mean, I don't have, but most people have inside of their skull. It's a blob. It's a very mushy thing made mainly from fat, and it has a lot of neurons inside of it. And so that's what you call a brain. Most of us have the same brains, same structure, same type of brains. Yeah, almost all mammals have the same brains. That's why the research on mice can easily be interpreted for humans because we are both mammals, not exactly, but similarly. So that's brain. Now, Katsu's question is, where does our mind come from? A mind and a brain. So brain, I explained, is a physical entity. A mind is not necessarily a physical entity. A mind is something that's between the physical and what we call the paraphysical. Yeah. So a mind can loosely be interpreted as consciousness. All of us have brains, or most of us have brains, or most of us have brains that we use. Uh, there's another thing that I want to say is this is a misconception that most humans only use about 10% of their brains. No, that's not true. With advances in fMRI research and other technologies, now we know that we use almost all of our brain, sorry, uh, between 80 to 90% of our brains uh, exert their energies when they are doing specific jobs. Anyways, coming back to mind versus brain. So brain, everybody has. You can have, for example, you can have damage in your brain. There's a very famous case where this guy got a rod across his brain, but he was still alive for a long time. It's a very, very famous case. The name doesn't come to my mind. So, but that that's a very, very famous case. Now, mind can be a result of the physical activity. That's what I think. I'm not sure about it, but that's what I believe. I think that what we call consciousness or mind is nothing but the imagination that we have about how special we are as human beings, because nothing else explains it. So mind is like a rainbow. You see a rainbow, but we also know that it doesn't exist. If you go towards a rainbow, it doesn't exist because it's just light splitting up in different parts in the sky where there's some water drops. So a rainbow, we can see a rainbow, but at the same time, we also know that we can never reach the rainbow because it's just an imagined reality. It's something that all of us can see, but it also does not exist physically in the sense that it doesn't have any physical presence. You can keep going towards a rainbow and you'll never find it. You'll never touch it. Uh, despite the Barbie movie showing uh, that you can touch the rainbow, in reality we cannot. So it's just water drops in the sky hitting the light hitting them and then getting split up, and our eyes looking at them at 23-degree angle, between 23 and 26, I guess, at some specific angle at which we can see the rainbow, but it doesn't exist. Similarly, we think, oh yes, I have consciousness, I have mind. Yeah, I can do things, I can think about myself, my mind can think about my mind. Yes, but I think all these are side effects of brain activity. Basically, almost all of the things that we do, including thinking, are a function of the neural activity in our brain. So it has a physical uh, reason behind it. And because without the physical brain, without the physical, for example, nervous system, without the physical systems to carry messages and electrical signals from one part of the body to another, or from one part of the brain to another, uh, we can't have a mind. So that convinces me that mind might be one of these constructs that we developed as human beings so that we can feel better about ourselves. And this idea of mind and hence a consciousness that's only specific to humans is it's if you ask a biologist, they will be able to give you a better answer, uh, in the sense that the biologists or the doctors or a veterinary doctor, who are you to say that you have a mind and you have a soul, but a dog doesn't have, or a cat doesn't have, or a pet cow doesn't have that soul? Some people believe that their pet dogs and cats and cows can think and can understand their emotional state. So who are we to then say, no, 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 we humans are the only ones that have a mind and a brain, but all the other animals, including mammals, including gorilla and chimpanzee and orangutan, which is almost 98% the same DNA as us, they don't have a mind, they only have brains, but uh, we have minds. If you ask Jane Goodall, for example, or if you ask that BBC Earth guy, what's his name? Yeah, his name skips my mind. What's his name? The British guy who says this here is the. He has a very specific delivery style. I really love his style of delivery. So if you ask him, or if you ask Jane Goodall, or if you ask anybody who is an expert in the field of a specific breed of mammals or other animals, they can simply say yes. These other animals also have minds. Similarly, we have the idea of soul, soul, soul. Uh, yes. Why do we have souls? Okay, and that kind of connects us to the second part of the question that Katsu-san is asking. Does bacteria have a mind? So that kind of, yes, attempted to answer around that. So yes, if we have a mind, then someone else who has the same physical features as us must have some kind of mind, not exactly as we have, but let's say we have 100% mind, and so we have 98% of the same genetic code as that of an orangutan. So maybe an orangutan has a mind that's 98% similar to our mind. And maybe a gorilla has a mind that's 96% similar to our mind. And maybe a crocodile has a mind that's about 56%, because a crocodile and a human DNA have about 56% similarity, I think, or 55%, whatever, but around that number. So going by that logic, yes, we can say that a bacteria, if we have a mind, so therefore, if we go down to simpler life forms, if provided they have the same things that we have, for example, if a bacteria has a way of processing information, such as we have in the form of a brain and the nervous system, if a bacteria also has, a system by which it can understand its environment, because that's what our nerves do, then it must have some kind of mind of its own, isn't that? So it's very, very possible. That's a very beautiful question, by the way. And to extend the argument, because there's no new questions coming in. So if you have any question, please type it in the chat, and I will be able to see it, and hopefully I will be able to answer it. So yes. So do we have a soul? If you ask most people in developing countries, because I have a lot of friends from developing countries and from developed countries, and so I have this continuous discussion with people. And so what I see is, for example, if you ask a Japanese, do we have a soul? The answer is not always yes. Some people, let's say 50% of the people that you ask in Japan, they will say maybe not, I don't know, or no, or I have no idea. And out of the rest 50%, and this is my personal experience, so this is a sample size of n equals 1, so uh, you don't need to read deeper into it. You can take it with a pinch of salt. But if you ask the rest 50%, they will say, let's say 25% of them will say, yes, I think there is a soul. And then 25% of the 50% that say, yes, there may be, they will say, yes, we have a soul, but it depends. Sometimes we have a soul and sometimes it flows away, and sometimes we don't have a soul, things like that. If you ask, let's say, 100 people on the street in New Delhi or Bombay or Dhaka or any of these developing countries, uh, my hunch is maybe 70 to 80% or even higher will say, yes, we do have a soul. And so that explains. I don't know why it is, but this is what I have observed. And feel free to say that I'm wrong, because I'm more than happy to be wrong here. Okay, so in that case, then the next argument is, if we have a soul, what does it look like? What shape does it have? Well, it's all across all the body that we have. The soul also looks similar to that. That's what most people will answer you. Okay, then if you cut your hand, let's say if someone cuts your hand away, then does the soul also gets its hand cut, or the portion equivalent to its hand cut? We don't know. And so then some people will say, yes, the soul's hand will also be cut. And so that's why the ghost, if for example you kill someone by cutting their hands, their ghost will also have both its hands cut. This is what one answer I got from a dear friend of mine during one of the arguments. So, and then others will say, no, even if you cut both hands and both legs, the soul is still there. Okay, fantastic. So if we have a soul, then does a monkey have a soul? And so those who are from a monotheistic upbringing will simply say no. Only humans have a soul because the Bible or the holy book in my religion says so. Only humans have souls. Others don't have souls. Or among humans, only those who adopt my religion or adopt this specific religion have soul, and the others are just pagan soulless people. Okay, well, that's a religious argument. I can't go into a religious argument because religion and science are two different things. You cannot argue religion with science and science with religion because most of the times it will end up in in something that's not productive. Okay, let's leave it here. So what happens then? So if, and then let's say, okay, yes, we have a soul, and let's say a monkey has a soul. Then does a cow have a soul? Does a buffalo have a soul? Okay, let's go down. Let's then talk about bacteria. Do bacteria have a soul? If we have a soul, then the bacteria must also have soul, isn't it? Because they're also living things. If all living things have souls, then, as Katsu argues, bacteria should also have a mind and a soul. But how about let's go smaller than that. Let's go to viruses. Now, those of you who don't know, the average size of a virus is, so what a bacteria is to us, we cannot see a bacteria with our naked eyes. It's so small. To the bacteria, a virus is the same thing as a bacteria is to us. A bacteria, provided it had some kind of eyes to see around, which it doesn't have, but let's assume it has, it will not be able to see a virus. It's so small. So do viruses have souls? And what happens to our minds after we die? What happens to our souls after we die? Does it also die with us? In some religions, in some philosophies, it says, yes, the soul dies. In the other ones, it says, no, the soul leaves you. And there's a famous experiment, I think, I forgot where, maybe in the UK or in USA, I think in the UK, but I can be wrong. This doctor, what they did is to find if souls actually exist. They would put, so this is the dead body, okay, this is the person that has recently died, and this person, before he died, he or she died, they are put in a room in which there's a cupboard in the corner, and on top of a cupboard is a picture. And so the idea is, if there's a soul that has gone up after death, it would be able to see what's on the top of the cupboard, what picture is there. And so when the soul comes back, if they operate on it and if they bring the person back to life, they would ask what picture was there. And if they say, yes, this was the picture, then yes, souls exist. And if they say, well, I don't know, well, then maybe souls don't exist. It's a very funny experiment, but actually, it actually happened. But anyways, there have been a lot of experiments, uh, people talking about paraphysical things, paranormal things, souls, but nobody has been able to uh, demonstrably detect it. So I, for one, do not think, because so far there's no proof of it, that a soul or a mind exists, and this soul or mind leaves us after we die. In Hinduism, we have this idea that the soul leaves your body, and based on the karma, based on the deeds that you did in this birth, your soul will then enter a new body, a better birth, or a worse birth based on what it did in the last birth. But I actually don't think that's true, to be honest. Okay, and just in time, we have the next question from Katsu. It says, will AI be able to have feelings? Will AI be able to lie intentionally? Yes, that's a very good question. And to be honest, it's a very good question because it connects with the previous question. So, do we have minds? Let's say yes, we do have minds in the sense that all of us have the same physical brain, but we have different ways of thinking. So we have different minds. Or a sane person can go insane in some certain conditions, situations, and a stupid person can take a very wise decision in certain situations. So yes, we all have our minds, uh, and mind is connected with feelings, isn't it? So why do we have feelings? Are feelings something special only to us humans? Again, feelings have an underlying physiological process undergoing, isn't it? For example, if you're feeling sad, then certain part of your brain shows certain activity. Some things are happening. Some specific chemicals, biochemicals, are being secreted in that part of your brain or in that part of your body, in your adrenaline glands or in your thyroid or in your brain somewhere in the hippocampus, and hence you can see why it happens. Uh, Recently, I was reading this research paper from a prestigious psychology magazine journal, and it says that people who suffer silent treatment. What's a silent treatment? So a silent treatment is like, for example, you have a loved one in your life, a husband or a wife or a father or a mother or whoever, a dear friend, and if they suddenly stop talking to you, you actually feel physical pain. Some people have reported that they feel pain when a dear friend of them suddenly stops talking to them. So these three psychologists from America, I think it's an international collaboration, but the research happened in America. They then try to find why, what happens in the brain. And lo and behold, they find that there's something called cingulate something something. It's a three-letter word. That part of the brain shows the same activity when someone gives you silent treatment. And so if they say, oh, so how do you feel when your friend or your father or your near and dear one has stopped talking to you now, they are not talking to you and they are going away from you, how do you feel? And so the subjects, when they are thinking about that feeling that they have of a near and dear one not talking to them anymore, any longer, in the same way that they used to before, the part of the brain that gets activated is the same part of brain that feels physical pain as if you slap someone. So we humans, we have the same activity in the same area of the brain when someone slaps you or when someone gives you a silent treatment. It's very strange, but yeah, yeah. Please do your own study and you'll find out because I can't name that specific organ. It's something singulate, blah blah blah. Anyways, so yes, feelings are nothing but a result of the physiological activities that happen in our body, that happen in our brains, that happen in our organs, the blood vessels and the nervous system, the whole body. We, in a way, are a machine, kind of a machine. So an AI as a software will be able to show you. Actually, it is already showing. Japanese scientists have developed a robot that shows you expressions on their face in the same way that we humans do. Now, sometimes it comes across as a little bit creepy ish, but uh, many times it surprises you. So, will AI be able to have feelings? We don't know if it will be able to have feelings, but it will be able to show feelings for sure. Now, what's the difference? have feelings doesn't mean anything, because if you have feelings but you don't show it, it's as good as you don't have feelings. Yeah. If a tree falls in a forest, did it, and nobody heard it falling, did it actually fall? So if you have feelings, if you have certain feelings towards me or towards someone, good or bad, but if you don't show it, then I can't feel it. So a better question, or better way of framing this question is, will AI be able to show feelings? And the answer is yes. First, because they are very good at learning. And second, because we humans are very predictable. We might think we are unpredictable because we have our mind, or we have a soul, or we have a whatever, but in reality, it's all a result of physiological activity. So, as the research gets better in in scanning the human body, the brain, using non-invasive techniques such as fMRI and other techniques, imaging techniques, we will be able to better understand why we humans do what we do in certain situations. Why do we show feelings, and more specifically, why do we have feelings that we show in certain situations? And then it's all a matter of that data, that information. You know why it happens or how it happens. How it happens, we know already. But why it happens, or what's a better mechanism of that happening? So if you replicate that in a physical robot, uh, there's a very famous movie called AI by Steven Spielberg, and I still remember there's a small boy. It's a robot boy. It's not a real boy, but this boy has been fed with software that gets activated whenever it, for example, feels a bit of temperature increasing on its skin. That means it's getting heated. It's the fire is coming to me, so I should run. And so this small boy robot runs to its parent, and then embraces the father and says, save me, please save me." And I actually felt chills. I thought, "Oh my God! If I were in that crowd, I would I would go and try to save this child, even though I know that it's a robot child." So, will AI be able to show feelings? Yes, I think that's 100% that they will be able to show feelings. When will they be able to show feelings, and how? In what form? Will it be on a computer screen, or will it be in a body that looks like humans? I don't know, but it will be able to show feelings. And you can show feelings without a body. For example, when you're talking with someone on the phone, you don't see them face to face. You don't have a body in front of you, but you have voice in your ears, and you can find if that person means what they are saying or not, if they are being sarcastic, or if they are really saying what they're saying, if they are angry, or if they are sad, or if they are happy, just from the voice. So it's very possible that AI sitting on your computer, sitting in your phone, sitting in your uh, IoT, Internet of Things, your fridge, for example, your microwave, your toaster, your car, you know, what a car AI can be. If you're driving recklessly, it can replicate the sound of your mother or father, and instruct you to not play with fire, and hence prevent an accident. So they can also be good in them showing feelings. Uh, will AI be able to lie intentionally? That's a very good question, because lying is, yeah, but of course, lying, they can lie intentionally, but that intentionality, what kind of intentionally will that be? What kind of intention would that be? Will AI be able to lie intentionally? For example, if you program a computer, a caretaker, a caretaker computer, let's say someone is suffering, some elderly person or a small child needs care, and so you have this AI nurse, and it's programmed to comfort this person, and so let's say you have this thing programmed into this AI, wherein if it hears that the parent is complaining that his or her sons and daughters don't talk to them every day, which they should, then this AI should say, no, no, they do talk to you. Yes, yes, they do care for you. Yeah, yeah, they do think about you. Now that's a lying, but the intention has been fed into the data by a human because we know what to do in that case. Or for example, if someone is recovering from a terminal illness, someone is recovering from, let's say, pregnancy, which is not a terminal illness. Sorry, I don't know why they say that, but let's say a new mother is in the process of shedding the excess weight, but of course, uh, she is bigger than a normal sized woman. And if she asks her phone or AI friend on the computer, do I look fat? Maybe uh, someone who knows human psychology, someone who knows human insecurity, they will have this thing fed into the AI that if this lady who has recently undergone pregnancy, if she asks this question, this means da da da. So maybe you have to say this. So AI will not be able to lie because there's lie cannot be datafied. You cannot say this is a lie. You can say this is true or not. You can say yes. If da da da, then da da da. If a lady's voice says, "Do I look fat?" Then look at her, for example, pupil movement or body temperature or whatever. Calculate that and respond no. Else respond a bit. Yes, a little bit, but don't worry, you still look beautiful, for example. Uh, so, yes, the intentionality is important here. Uh, it will be able to lie according to us humans, but probably, most probably, the AI doesn't know it's lying. It's just executing a program. So, but we don't know because maybe the AI will learn, but again, that learning will be based on what data is it fed. It is fed from humans. Because the idea here in this question is, will AI be able to replicate human feelings, and will AI be able to replicate uh, the lying behavior that we have? Uh, why did we develop lying as a social cultural thing? Lying lying is a word in almost, I think, all the languages. Yeah. Why do we have Why do we lie? Because it must serve an evolutionary purpose. And so when we develop these AIs and AI functionalities, I think some kind of lies in the form of flattery or giving hope to the person or whatever. Lies have a lot of benefits. We think lies are always bad, but they're not always bad. In fact, we all lie to our children when your small 3-year-old or 4-year-old baby comes to you saying, Papa, Mama, this is you and this is me. Is it good? Of course, the picture is rubbish, isn't it? But you say, oh, yeah, it's very good, brilliant. Yeah, it's fantastic. So it's lying, but it doesn't have a sinister purpose. It doesn't have a bad purpose. And so it's very possible that they might be able to lie, but not intentionally because intention doesn't exist in AIs. And that's my understanding. I can be wrong. I'm not a computer expert, but I'm a logician and I am an engineer. So from a logical point of view, intention does not exist in computers. It might look like they are lying intentionally. You might blame them. Just talk with Google Assistant or Brad or Bard, whatever, or Siri on your phone, and you will have a feeling that yes, this I'm talking with with someone in there. It has to be some kind of a mind in there. It's not just a software, but it actually is just a software. So yes, it's a very, very good question. Thank you so much, Gaijin, Gigi, KS, and KM, and Katsu-san. Thank you so much for asking these brilliant, brilliant questions. Wow, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 brilliant questions, and we could fill up the whole session. Very, very good. I wanted to talk a bit about my last video, the toxic food, i.e., the factory-made PUFA-rich foods, fats, cooking oils, vegetable oils that are actually harmful for us. But I'm afraid we are running out of time. But I'm actually happy that we did discuss these questions. Thank you so much for joining in, and I hope you enjoyed it. And I'll see you in 2 weeks' time. Until then, bye bye.